Let's talk about the 2 MVP mistakes you will probably make. Now, I can say that not only because I've made these mistakes, but also because I'm seeing it happen over and over again with members of the Customer Development Labs community. So, let's talk about what those are and, more importantly, how to fix them. So, before we dive in, I want to just make it clear that your customers are smarter than me. This is just one man's opinion. It happens to be backed with a lot of experience, but at the end of the day, the data you collect from your actual customers should outweigh anything I say. Of course, this is a great starting point. What I'm going to say is going to be a great starting point for you to actually run your A/B tests. So what I suggest is use what I'm going to say as the A, and then you can go iterate with other variations of your B tests. All right, so mistake number one that people make with their landing page MVPs is in their balance of the product versus the product problem. Overwhelmingly, people talk too much about the product and not nearly enough about the problem. Because it turns out that customers don't buy products. At the end of the day, customers buy solutions to problems. The only reason humans do anything is to create some sort of change, either emotionally or in their lives. And what your product is enabling them to do is to make that change. But if you lead by talking about the product, you're forcing your customers to come up with and think about, oh, how will this product impact my life? And remember that this customer that you're going after is inundated with tons of other stuff happening all the time. So you have a very small window when you need to get their attention and tell them that you can change their life. Once you've convinced them that you will actually create a change for them, then you tell them about the product or how you're going to solve their problem. But you have to talk about the problem first. So let's talk about what this looks like in actual practice. So I've got a collection here of landing pages for members of our community who asked for feedback. So I'm going to use them to demonstrate some of these problems and how we can go fix them. So this is a beautifully designed landing page, and all I have to do is look at the very first tagline here, the world's smartest search engine, to realize that this company is talking about its product far more than it's talking about the problem it's going to solve for me. I don't go around falling asleep at night trying to wonder like, oh, I really wish I had a smarter search engine. No one actually cares about a smarter search engine. That's how you're going to change my life, not what change you're going to see in my life. So now you're going to make me work for it and understand why I want a smarter search engine. Blah. We don't want to do that. You got to start with the problem that you're going to solve for someone first. All right, here's another example. Features for every chiropractic practice. Well, this is obviously it's talking about a product. Don't start with a product. You got to start with the change that you're going to create for your customer. What's the problem you're going to solve? Then you can talk about the product. Again, build an actor website in seconds. Build a director website. It's a cool concept. It's a neat landing page design, but who cares? What problem are you going to solve for these people? Then you can tell them about how you're going to do it and what the website, like what problem do you solve for a composer? Why do they even want a website? So this happens again and again and again. Good human capital has no border. That's not a problem itself. So it happens all the time. In fact, out of the 20 some odd landing pages I've got here, there's only one that even comes close to talking about the problem that you're going to solve. But this landing page even buries that. So we've got all this text. There's like tons of text all over the place that you're forcing the customer to read. And this right here, top performing athletes, this isn't even the problem. This talks about the solution. This talks about product. What we want is right here. Oops. What we want is right here. Being a solo entrepreneur doesn't have to be isolating and unfocused in 2016. Isolating and unfocused, that's the problem they're solving. So this is the kind of text we're looking for to be the focus, the focal point when your customers come to your page. But right here, it's even buried. So what we want to do is we want to bring that out, and you really want to talk about the problem you're going to solve for the customer. So let's talk about how to fix this issue. The fix to balance problem versus product is really simple. You just talk about the problem first. That's all you have to do. You just have to talk about the problem you're going to solve before you talk about the product and how you're going to solve it. Let's take a look at some examples on how to do this. So here's one. Save thousands on your student debt. Boom, right out of the gate. No talking about feature set. None of this, like it's an app, it's a whatever, who cares? This person is going to save me thousands of dollars on my student debt. That's what we're looking for. Here's another example. Bring customers back to your store without messy punch cards. If the person who's managing the store is concerned about messy punch cards, boom, we've just talked to that change that we're going to create for that person, the problem we're going to solve for them. This is what we want to talk about first. Then we can talk about how it's going to do that and all that kind of stuff. Problem first. Here's another one. Today's children may be the first generation to have shorter life expectancy than their parents. This is a great one. We're talking, boom, again. I don't know how they're going to solve the problem, but you've got my attention. Now, all of a sudden, I'm invested. I'm willing to go explore the rest of your website because you've told me about the problem that you're going to solve for me. My problem being, I'm concerned that my children might have a shorter life than I'd had. So there's one change that I would make to this copy, by the way. Today's children, I would change this to your children may be the first generation to have a shorter life expectancy than you. Like that would be really getting right to the problem and really capture the concerns that the customer has. And now we can start talking about how we're going to solve their problem. So that's how we solve this problem. You just got to talk about the problem first. How do you figure out what your customers' problems are? Customer interviews. So the blog has lots of information about how to do this, but really the goal is to have a one-on-one conversation with your customers to figure out what problems are they trying to solve right now. If you can figure out what problems your customers have and what actions they're trying to take to solve it and what words they use to describe it, you just take their words and you put that on your landing page. So when someone talks about messy cards, messy punch cards, that came straight from an interview. It couldn't have come from anywhere else but the customer. No one sits back and thinks about, oh, my app really solves messy punch cards. No, messy punch cards must have come from a customer. All right, so that's what you're going to do. You're going to figure out what problems you're going to list on your landing page based on your customer interviews. All right, mistake number 2 is what I call the flying car syndrome. Now, flying cars are very cool concepts, right? The ability to just be able to go anywhere as quickly as you need to, whether it's driving or flying. And it sounds like a very futuristic concept, like the Jetsons, like someday we will have flying cars. The truth is, flying cars have been around for years and years and years. So why would such a cool idea, the idea of being able to fly and drive whenever you need to, why would we not be using that today? It's because flying cars suck. Flying cars are both crappy cars and crappy planes, and no one wants a crappy combination of two crappy ideas. I'd rather have the best car possible for me and the best plane experience for me separate. But what we see founders try and do all the time, mostly because you're scared that no one will buy your car or your plane, and so you try and jam a bunch of things together, or you try and jam a bunch of customer segments together and say, I'm going to solve problems for everybody all at once. And in turn, you end up building a flying car. You end up building a product that is not interesting to anybody. By trying to be interesting to more than one customer at a time, you end up being interesting to no one. So let's talk about what this looks like. So let's go back to our friends here. This one, again, I love this concept here, but let's just double check what this text is actually saying to someone. So I build a producer website in seconds. I build an actor website in seconds. I build a composer website in seconds. Let's change perspective. Imagine you are sitting down at a car dealership, and the person behind the desk tells you, hey, you know what, I sell cars to people like you who are starting companies, but I also sell cars to single mothers, and I sell cars to senior citizens, and I sell cars to first-time drivers. I sell cars to rich people. I sell cars to big people, to small people. And you're wondering, why the hell is this person telling me about all the people they sell cars to? Why do you care who they sell cars to? That's not interesting to you. In fact, that's a waste of your time. What this interaction is doing is saying, okay, I've got your attention. I've finally gotten you onto my webpage, and now I'm going to tell you all the other people I serve that aren't you. You're a composer? Oh, well, guess what? I build websites for actors and producers and directors. And you're wondering as a composer, well, what the hell? Why am I giving you my time and attention if all you're going to do is tell me about the other people that you serve? Far better to use that time and attention to tell me how you're going to solve my composer problems than telling me about how you also solve producer problems. All right. Now, again, I know why founders do this, and we do it all the time. Here, let's take a look at another example. This one over here. Who we serve. Okay, well, let's click on who we serve. Well, who they serve: growing organizations, international recruiters, global professionals. So you're explicitly saying you serve a bunch of different people because you're trying to build one landing page that meets the needs of all these people. But when you do that, you end up having to dilute your message so badly that you end up saying things like good human capital has no border, which doesn't mean anything to anybody. So by trying to serve all three of these people with one landing page, with one message, you end up serving none of them. This is straight up flying car syndrome. All right, let's take a look at another one. Now this one here, it's a little more disguised, which is why I wanted to use it as an example. So look at what they're saying here. Learn what users think of your app or website. So can you see it? Can you see the flying car here? What is this service for? Is it for people who make apps or for people who make websites? And is it for users? Like users, I have a website. Does that mean I have users? On my website, I have customers, I have founders, I have entrepreneurs, I have readers, but I don't have users. Again, here, this is what happens. This is straight up flying car trying to be too many things for too many people. Instead, we want a landing page that talks about learn why your users aren't using your app anymore. Why aren't people visiting your website? Why aren't customers converting on your website? We need to get very specific about the problem we're solving and for a very specific group of people. So with that, let's talk about how we fix flying car syndrome. The fix is very simple. You're going to sell cars, then you're going to sell planes. You're going to sell your cars to the people who need cars. You're going to sell planes to people who need planes. You're going to do them one at a time. You're not going to try and combine it into a crappy flying car. Yeah? So, this is also called niche to win. You're going to focus on a very, very specific niche of customers. You're going to solve the hell out of their problems. And once you do that and you win and you have evangelists in that one tiny niche, you're going to do it again at another tiny niche. And another tiny niche, and another tiny niche. And you're going to build up niche after niche after niche until you have a whole cadre of niches, and you're going to end up owning the entire transportation industry, not because you built one mode of transportation for everyone, but because you solved people's transportation problems one at a time. Niche by niche by niche. That's how you get big. It's how Facebook got big. Facebook isn't huge and the thing that a billion people use every day because they started off at being something that a billion people use. They didn't even start off in the United States. They didn't even start off on college campuses. They didn't even start off at college campuses on the East Coast of the United States. They started off in one college campus. Solve problem for one college campus, one Ivy League college, and then you move to other Ivy Leagues. And then from other Ivy League colleges to other colleges around the United States. And then from colleges in the United States to the United States. And from the United States to the world. All right, so when you try and solve problems for too many people, you end up solving problems for no one. Instead, do what Facebook, do what Apple, I mean, look, remember we used to talk about Apple, about Macs. What did everyone used to say? Everyone used to say about Macs in the 90s. Oh, you know what? They're great for graphics, but nothing else. They're great for graphics, but they're not good for anything else. Well, guess what? Now all developers in the Valley use Apple. All right? Because they won niche by niche by niche by niche. They won that one tiny little niche. They did such a good job that it begins to build and build and build. And that's what you have to do with your early adopters. So you have to go build your planes, or build your cars, sell your cars, and then once you do that, then move on to planes. Okay, so what's next? What's next for you? Well, you know now that customers don't buy products. Customers buy solutions to problems. You have to change your customers' emotional perspective or their life in order for them to give you their money. So make it easy on them. Don't make them do the balance between product versus problem. Start with the problem. What problem are you going to solve for them? What change are you going to create in their life? All right, once you've done that, if you want help with that, if you want help figuring out what problem your customers have, you're going to go get yourself some interviews. You're going to do some interviews. Again, the blog has lots of information and content on this. If you want help though, if you want additional, more detailed help on how to get these interviews and how to execute on them, I want you to grab a copy of Focus. The Focus Framework, Workbook 1, Exercise 4. It's called Where Are Your Early Adopters? If you're struggling trying to figure out where people are that are going to agree to do your interviews, this exercise is going to help you find out where they are and how to approach them to get your interviews. If you're having trouble figuring out how to create emotional copy from the problem, let's say you already know what your customer's problem is, but you're not sure what that text should be on the landing page, and you want some help with that, check out Focus Exercise 4 in the second workbook. So Workbook 2, it's called Offer Testing. The exercise is called Offer Design. This is going to help you synthesize the customer interviews you've done and turn them into that emotional call to action. Okay? So that's there if you want a little bit of help doing that stuff. Going forward, to fix your flying car syndrome, remember, no more flying cars. You're going to solve one problem for one customer segment, then you're going to do a second one. I know it's going to feel scary focusing on one small group, but that's how you have to do it. You have to start small. There's no other way. I've never seen anyone else win long term by starting big. You got to start small. Okay, you're going to sell your cars, then you're going to sell planes. You're going to win on one niche and then go win on another niche. So what you need to do is you need to prioritize your customer segments, figure out which one you're going to start with first and then which one you're going to go with second. If you want some help with that, Focus Exercise 5 in Workbook 1, it's called Scale Your Segments. It's going to help you figure out which customers you should target first. Because these segments here, what you're going to end up doing is listing out car, plane, boat. You're going to list out all your customer segments. Is it app builders? Is it website builders? Is it soccer moms? Is it soccer dads? Who are all your potential customers? Then it's got a bunch of criteria it's going to walk you through to help you prioritize those customer segments so you know which one to focus on first. Now, I have a version of this. It's on the blog. It's called the Spa Treatment. It's the first version of this. So if you want to, you can just use that one. But if you want the new updated version that's a little more narrowed and it's going to be a little more precise, grab a copy of Focus and it's going to help you walk through all those prioritizations of the scale exercise. All right, there you go, my friends. Those are the 2 MVP mistakes you will probably make, but how to fix them very quickly and very easily. Best of luck.